Can Christians pledge fraternities and sororities? Let's get into it. So I haven't talked about this in a while, but today I heard a video where a lady was basically defending being in her sorority because she said, being in the sorority doesn't mean that I don't believe in God. And see, that's the problem. I think when we have this conversation, we need to make sure we're asking the right questions and defining our terms. Because I do believe that you can believe in a generic, non-specific God and be in a fraternity or sorority, and that in itself is not incompatible. It's not logically inconsistent. But if we're talking about Christianity as defined by the scripture, Christianity as we've seen throughout church history, and compare that with the worldviews, the underlying worldviews of Black fraternities and sororities, you're going to have some inconsistencies. When you read some of these alleged ritual books, you're going to find this worldview where basically it's teaching universalism. So it's like as long as you choose a God, whether it's the Christian God or the Muslim God or the gods of Hinduism or these gods over there, those gods over there, it doesn't matter. As long as you pick one or some, just having the belief in a God figure is enough for this organization. Now, that is definitely religious, but that is not Christian. That is actually in opposition to the Christian worldview. As Christians, we believe that the God of the Bible, the triune God of the Bible, is the only God that exists, the only God that's worthy of our worship, and the only God that can offer eternal salvation. I mean, that's literally what the Bible teaches, and the New Testament makes this extremely clear. So if these organizations are basically teaching their members that all religions are equally the same and they're all true, then how can it be Christian? This is in direct opposition, like I just said, from the Christian worldview, and that's what people don't want to talk about. People don't want to define Christianity, and I think that is very purposeful. I honestly think that's a satanic tactic, and I hate to say satanic these days because I feel like everything now is so like over spiritualized and sensational, but I do think that's a tactic of the enemy, is to convince people that truth doesn't exist, even if they don't use those exact words. There's a lot of semantics and wordplay games that's going on, but to me, Greek life, I'm just talking about Black Greek life because that's the one that I've done the most research on, but Black Greek life has this underlying assumption that all religions are true and equal. So if that's what they're teaching, then they're not Christian organizations. They are against the Christian worldview. They're against the Bible. So I really don't understand why any Christian would want to be a part of that if you have all that information. Now, when I was in college, of course, I wanted to be in a sorority. So it's like I get it, but I didn't know how to articulate my faith then. I didn't know as much about the Bible and hermeneutics and church history and Christian orthodoxy. And I didn't know what was hiding out in those fraternity and sorority rituals. But when you know better, you do better. So if the documents, again, are saying we are universalists, and when you go to their conferences or whatever you call them, when all these boule or whatever, when everybody comes together and they invite universalists like Ayanna Van Zant, let's use for an example, who is a Yoruba priestess. And yeah, sure, she uses all the Christianese jargon and the Christianese buzzwords, but she is articulating universalism. And so that's the problem. To me, it's like asking, can you be a universalist and be a Christian at the same time? That's basically what you're asking if you're saying, can Christians be in Greek fraternities and sororities? I think the obvious answer is no. Do I think that there are Christians in the organizations? Yes. But I think they are wrong in saying that these organizations are compatible with our Christian faith. Okay, that's it. That's all.